好，第一个问题，绿色衣服的 ，So please say out your media outlet's name and your question.
Congratulations on the win, Coach. This is Yi from China Hawks. So the team was a little bit struggling in the opening minutes. So I was wondering, what was your message to the team that kind of turned the momentum around?
Yeah, we know Brooklyn plays hard. We knew it going into the game. That's what they do. They did it all last season. I think early, it takes a minute to adjust how aggressive and physical they are. I think we had a couple good looks early, just didn't go down, and they made a couple tough shots, and that's just how basketball goes. It evens out over the course of the game, so that was part of our message. Just stay with it, hang in there. We will pick our spots, and we'll go on the run, the same run. And I really thought our response by the group, not only there in that first half to at least get back in the game, but also there in the third quarter, our response by especially that starting group really helped us, take the lead into the third and then the fourth quarter. It was our second unit, that really helped us. So a little bit of everything, but it does take a minute to get it adjusted to how aggressive Brooklyn plays.
Next question. Yep. With the glasses, please.
Hi, Coach. I asked you pre-game, and you mentioned all 4 centers on your team bring unique skill sets, and each game, anyone can be the star. This game, also Iguodaro shined with his usual mobility and capability to defend in space, as well as his verticality on offense. But I wanted to talk about Oso's improving his playmaking and decision-making on the short roll. Some intriguing plays there. How did you find his performance?
Yeah, I think that's the game of basketball. Like early, I think the speed and the aggressiveness did affect him. He had a couple of turnovers, he had a couple of fouls early, and then we just couldn't find a way to get the rebound. And I think especially part of that third quarter momentum, you see how important Oso is to us. And his third quarter really helped that group, especially against teams that pressure. So this team really pressures. He's able to be a pressure release for us at times. But overall, I thought all of our bigs, Nick had great minutes, and then man there at the end of the game, he was fighting through fatigue to make some big plays. We even had him switch out on the perimeter a couple of times, and he was able to get stops.
Next question, Annie.
Hi, Coach. Gautam Warrior from Fadeaway World. What went so right for you guys defensively in that third quarter? Because that completely changed the tide of the game.
I think it was our activity. We were able to force, 34 turnovers overall. 8 of them were there in the third quarter. Those guys made the decision to come out at halftime and change the game. Our energy, we were the aggressors, much like the first quarter where they were more aggressive than us. I think the third quarter kind of changed the tide. And then we really used our defense to fuel our offense. We're able to get out on our fast break, in transition, in space. But we're really good. We just have to get there. It's hard after a made basket to take it out against their pressure to really get into something and execute. Much easier after a defensive stop, and then that's the game of basketball. Once that snowball starts, it got downhill, and we were able to have a good third quarter.
Questions at the back?
Hi, Coach. Erico from Macao News. Jalen Green was out, so could you talk to us about that, and will he be playing in Game 2?
Yeah, we've talked about Jalen. He had such a good off-season into the training camp. He did have a slight hamstring injury. We said he wouldn't be playing tonight. We'll continue to reevaluate and let you know as soon as possible.
One last question for Coach Ott.
Thanks. Vitor Quinta from Loser News Agency. So NBA is back in China after 6 years of absence. You guys were feeling the love, right?
Yeah, it was a great atmosphere. We knew when we walked in this building, even just to practice, you could tell this place is set up for basketball. And we could tell just by traveling around the city, just the energy, you can feel the love from the fans. And, it didn't disappoint. And hopefully we gave them something to be proud of, how that game ended, going to overtime, a little extra time. This is a great spot for basketball. Again, we're grateful to be here, be one of the 2 teams to come back in the NBA.
So thank you, Coach Ott, and congratulations on the win, and we'll see you 2 days later for Game 2. Thank you.